Take a look at this. We got Mike Wilson's on Bloomberg. Figured we'd start over here. Thanks for shouting that out in the comments. Let's listen to him for a moment.
Apparently. Coming up next on the program, Deutsche Bank's Matt Lassetti, Aberdeen's...
Well, maybe he's gone. Anyway, he just posted a piece yesterday about how the piece was titled Bear Capitulation by Morgan Stanley, basically. At least that's the file name, maybe not actually the piece title. But we looked at that a little bit yesterday. And it basically was Mike Wilson's outline for, hey, valuations are high, but we're raising our price target for the S&P 500 from that mid 4,000 range to about the 5,400 range. However, it seems like once a bear, always a bear, since it sounds like he still sounds a little bearish here on Bloomberg. But in the meantime, let's take a look at how the day is getting started. So we've got a few things to watch here. First, we've got this breakout on Coinbase. And this makes a lot of sense. You've got Bitcoin basically pouncing on all-time highs. Let's see here. If I go, oh, there it is. 71 is a big line now we're watching. I mean, what a difference from honestly a week ago. Look at this. I mean, a week ago, well, during the Iran attacks, we were sitting around the 52, sorry, not the 52. During the Iran attacks, we were sitting around the 59 levels, all the way down to about 59, broke down to about 56 for a moment there, really sat on that 61.7 line for quite a while. Purple downtrend really kept moving, bounced between 61.7 and 63.8 for quite a while over here. And look at this. Once we had our breakout, straight through the 69 fib, though you did have a little bit of a pause there for a moment. It's not a surprise. And then after your pause here, you went straight through to the 71.2 line, which that line's been there for a while. I've had that line drawn for a while. It didn't just get added. You've known that from the prior videos. And look at it. It's literally attached to it, 71.2. So we'll see where BTC wants to move from here. But if it's a bullish leading indicator for the NASDAQ and the SPY, well, then it's bullish. The NASDAQ now 454.91 on the Qs. Does set you up for breaking that previous all-time high that we hit in March. You're now higher than that, and Nvidia earnings tomorrow will almost certainly be a catalyst for helping the market either continue its run or take a little breather. Nvidia earnings expectations tomorrow aren't going to be about beating. Everybody expects Nvidia to beat. The question is, by how much will Nvidia beat? That is the plan. Last time that beat was about 10%. Previous quarters, it's been somewhere around 18 to 25%. How much will it be this time? Will it be 10 again? Will it be 12? Will it be 15? Who knows? But that's what everybody's going to be paying attention to, is the level, the magnitude of the beat, and then, of course, the forecast from Nvidia. And so my expectation is that you could have a market that trades nicely to new highs once again if Nvidia has a very strong beat, and I think indices and mega caps and chip makers and designers will all do very well if Nvidia has a very strong earnings report, which is probably more likely than not. But you know how it goes. If everybody expects that's more likely, then that's what doesn't end up happening, and then the company disappoints and the whole market gets a little sad. Now, do I really think that the market can truly correct off of bad Nvidia earnings? Not likely. I mean, maybe the indices would trade sideways or a small little movement down, but I don't see much of a correction, so to speak, even in the event of an AI miss outside of the AI names. Of course, the AI names themselves, they could get hit on valuation, but otherwise, not too terribly worried. But anyway, after that BTC breakout, you'll notice that yesterday we smashed right through the 118, went to 223 at the close and in post-market, and then just sort of melted up there to 233 on coin. So pretty good move there on coin, finally catching up. You've got a nice Ethereum move as well after some enthusiasm over the potential for Ethereum ETFs. JP Morgan becoming bullish on these Ethereum ETFs. Also, we've got a line here at 37.78. Sorry, the line is this particular retracement. Oops. That I have is 37.64 is where I sit now. So we're just riding that level right now, but really nice move up in Ethereum there, straight from about 3,000 up about 20-ish, yeah, I'd say about 20-ish%, a little more than that, on this enthusiasm over Ethereum ETFs, which shouldn't stand in the way of an SEC clearance any more than the BTC ETFs had some fuss from the SEC, which they eventually rolled on. So Coinbase leading the way up today in the pre-market. You do have some of the smaller companies like GWAV. This one issued shares. This is exactly what a company is supposed to do, and this is exactly what happens when they do. The stock is down 59% as the company announces the option, well, the warrant issuance, allowing shares to be redeemed around 5 cents. I think it was 5 or 5.5. Anyway, it's exactly what a company like this should do: raise money, and that's exactly what they're doing. Increase their odds of survival. It's exactly what AMC did, though AMC did rally 9% yesterday. So who knows? Maybe GWAV will bounce after that share sale. FFIE, on the other hand, they're looking at, down 20% in the pre-market. So a lot of volatility coming to these smaller momentum plays in the pre-post market. Usually when I day trade, I like to just keep my day trade positions open and close them at the end of the day. Hence, day trade. Less stress. And you don't have to care so much about the pre-market or the post-market. You're just caring about when you're actually doing your trade. See, my favorite time to trade is somewhere between 6:45 California time and really like 10. I don't like it when the trades go beyond that. Afternoon trading is a little more unpredictable, just like the first 30 minutes, in my opinion. Anyway, end phase, just below that 113.40 level. Tesla dropping below that 174 line again. 174, well, I guess the line's 170. Yeah, the line's 174.16, and we're at 173.80 right now on Tesla. All right. There we go. So let's take a peek here. Okie dokie dokie. Modest recovery in gold ETF has room to run. It's the mystery of the season in gold. Why exchange-traded funds have trended unrelentingly lower while prices have soared and vice versa. Now the trend appears to be taking hold. ETF inflows to gold are up 5 days in a row. Longest run in a year. We've had a lot of outflows on gold. Doesn't generate that 5% yield that money markets do. Let's take a look at that. So, bonds 442. Ooh, 82 on Brent. Gold's at 24.31. Nice. Also had some lows figures here. Ah, yes, okay. Q1 lows EPS, $3.06. Affirms full year outlook at about $84.5 billion in sales. Comp sales expected to be negative 2.5%, and they came in at about negative 2.5%. The numbers, I mean, mostly came in line. I mean, if anything, slightly weak, like a tiny little bit, and that margin came in at the lower end by maybe 0.5%. But really, the numbers were mostly in line. Yeah, there you go. 3% move in lows. Okay. Will Nvidia become the largest U.S. company? The question of the day. Nvidia, by some measures, has become the most important single stock in U.S. equities, as its market cap soars to put it among the top 3 companies globally. Will its quarterly earnings on Wednesday be the tipping point for Nvidia to become the biggest? That's crazy. That's really cool. That'll be really interesting. Okay. Yeah, they also had a bullish upgrade on Monday, which helped the stock move. I think it was up another 2%. Let me see this. A lot of folks say this earnings cycle is the catalyst to move this over 100 or 1,000 bucks. So you're sitting here at 950. It's up 2.5% yesterday. 30 basis points on the day. Qs so far 20 bips and declining. Slight rotation down. And that rotation's being seen on Tesla and Enphase. Both of them getting rejected by the lines. It's the lines. The lines, me lord. They speak volumes. Got 62 bips on Apple yesterday with 16 here in pre-market. So you're at 191 now. Wild. Alrighty, alright. Let's see here. What else do we have? Let's see the Doomas.
In the weeks to come. With us around the table, Deutsche Bank's Matt Lazzetti, joining us also, Aberdeen's Luke Hickmore. Luke Hickmore, if I may go through the lineup again today. Williams, Bostic, Barkinbar, Waller, Collins and Mester all speaking once again. Luke, what is left to know that we don't know already from these officials?
Yeah, it's tough, isn't it? I mean, we were talking about Table Mountain earlier in the year, and it feels they're all on deck chairs, waiting around at the top. Can't see a thing below them. If you've ever been there, it's like that so often. And that lack of visibility, it's useful to have all these Fed speakers with us now to get a sense of where they are, what they're thinking. But they don't see any further than we see. And we need to see the data change. I think it is changing. I think there's early signs of it changing, and they need to see the data change. So I think this whole thing that Mike was talking about, the 3-month visibility period, feels about right. September feels about right. But in a year's time, we'll be 100 basis points lower rates.
Matt Lazzetti, have you heard enough?
A Fed speak?
What?
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, I think we're hearing, obviously, a packed calendar today. A lot of it is not related to the outlook. We have a lot of commencement speeches on the docket, so I'm focused on a few things. One, we had Jefferson yesterday. I think hearing from the vice chair is important. He noted that the Fed's forecast essentially for core PCE at the end of this month is basically 26 basis points. We're talking about getting progress. That is definitely progress from the very strong prints that we had earlier this year. But we also have to know the context that it's still well above the Fed's objective. It still annualizes to above 3%. Today, I would highlight Governor Waller. You know, in the past, he has given actually some decent forward guidance about the data he's looking at, the number of prints that he would likely to see. Perhaps he doesn't go that far. I think the Fed has fully pulled back from calendar-based guidance at this point in time. But the reality is the Fed is highly data dependent. Forecasting the high-frequency data is hard in this environment. And so the data should do more in terms of market moves than the Fed speak should.
Luke was saying that he thinks that you actually are starting to see a turn in the data. There is something going on under the hood that's consistent. Do you agree, Matt, that there is this feeling, not only disinflation, but weakness that's coming through maybe more than the overall data might suggest?
Yeah, you look at economic surprises, they're negative now on average. The inflation data did improve in the last month, but it's too high. The Fed needs a lot more evidence on that. Some caution I have around these 3-month rates that everybody's talking about. Everybody thinks that there's a residual seasonality in the data. We get stronger prints earlier in the year, we get weaker prints in the back half of the year. If that is true, and I believe it is, the Fed should be cautious about overinterpreting 3 months of data if it does improve. Broadly, more broadly, you had some give back on the retail sales data. That was probably welcome from the Fed's perspective. You have a labor market that did soften a little bit. But the context is we grew above 3% last year. Atlanta Fed is tracking very strong GDP growth for Q2. It is softer, but it's not obvious at this point that it's soft enough to get inflation back down to target.
Softer but not soft, as John's been talking about quite a bit. I am wondering, Lou, from your perspective, if there is a signal within specific areas like retail sales, where we see this discussion around more discretion, price cuts from Target, all of these types of things that are leaving us feeling like things might be shifting, but not enough to change the narrative. How do you interpret this?
Yeah, I'm that consumer thing too, but I'm also looking at what's going on with companies. Are they spending? Are their capex plans growing? And they're not. The federal budget is probably at peak for now. That's starting to be less of a stimulus going forward. So consumer may be stalling, maybe not going down, but stalling. Companies are happy to hang on to cash, quite frankly, and the federal government participates.
Consumer may be stalling. You know, people have been talking about the consumer stalling, quite frankly, since like the beginning of 2022. Oh, the consumer's going to stall. The consumer's going to stall. It's kind of remarkable. Yet, you know, here you go. We just got Macy's numbers that came out. And, you know, what do you hear? Oh, better than expected results from Macy's. Adjusted EPS for the fiscal year coming in higher than expected. So let's write this down here, the midpoint of that. Okay, so Macy's. So what we have: Lowe's, inline earnings, expectations, inline earnings, and fiscal year outlook. Macy's was, they basically raised their fiscal year EPS by about 5 to 10 cents. Raised fiscal year adjusted EPS 5 to 10 cents. And then they have, let's see here, forecast, net sales. Let's see, that's about, Macy's net sales come in for Q2 at roughly expectations. Q2 sales forecast at expectations. Q2 EPS beats, or forecast. Q2 EPS forecast beats. That's actually pretty good. Let's see, 8 cents. That's 29 cents versus 20 cents expected. That's really good. And then, let's see here. Q1 basically met. Q1 roughly met 4.8 billion in sales versus 4.81 billion expected. Let's see here. Net sales, and they raised their fiscal year net sales outlook slightly. Slight raise in fiscal year sales outlook. Margin beat. Let's see here. Oh, sorry. Gross margin missed. Adjusted EPS beat. Okay, got it. Adjusted EPS beat. So for Q1. Beat 22 cents. Sorry, 27 cents versus 14 cents. And then Q1 margin 39.2% versus 39.6%. So a little bit of a margin hit, gross margin. That's probably a symptom of, honestly, price cuts. I'm excited to see their earnings call on that when it's out. Price competitiveness, likely. But that's my guess. We're starting to see, you know, really those consumer prices start rolling over and that price competitiveness getting more severe. But the fact that you're still reaffirming sales outlook at both Lowe's and Macy's, pretty dang good. You know, it just shows the deterioration of the consumer isn't here yet, regardless of what direction the stocks go. Deterioration of the consumer isn't here yet. Okay. All right, so let's see how the stocks are moving. So Lowe's was up 2.5. And then Macy's is at 372. So both of them up. I don't know. That's the weird thing, is everybody's complained about, oh, the consumer's going to be out of money. Frankly, since, like I said, the beginning of 2022, consumer was supposed to be out of money by now, with excess savings drawn down. Apparently not. All right. So, my problem is I'm unemployed and depend on my money market yields for income. Hard to invest. Yeah, that could definitely happen as well, as in a situation where you're not investing more. What you're really doing is sort of subsisting off what you have, whether that's the income that you do earn, whether it's passive or active, and then you pay your bills. I believe that. But broadly, and I'm sure that's happening more and more, but broadly, boy, just consumer seems to be holding up. It's kind of, a lot of folks just see it as the jobs market really holding up. And the longer jobs market holds up, the better it is for not going into a recession, which ironically is not so great for a company like Tesla, because it just means you're going to keep rates higher for quite longer, right? So, you know, I crazily, what would be great for Tesla is if we went into an actual recession in 2022, rates got cut back to zero, and you know, the people who were able to afford a car in 2022, even during a recession, bought, and then in 2023 you were back to 0% rates. That would have been great for Tesla, but that's not what happened. You didn't end up getting a recession. You ended up getting an AI boom, a fiscal spending boom, an immigration boom. You know, lots of booms. Things booming. It's wild.
And is not serving the car maker's best interest. Musk hit all the targets for the pay, but it was voided by a Delaware judge earlier this year. Now Tesla's board is putting the pay package to a vote for a second time to prove investors still support Musk's pay. And one person is dead and several others were in.
Yeah, that was in the, what's it called? There was a filing yesterday about an investor group, sort of a group of smaller banks or investment banks that recommended voting against the Elon Musk share package plan, confirmation of his prior stock compensation deal worth about $50 billion now, with milestones set out for market cap and otherwise. And I want to see why. Let's take a peek at why. Let's do it together. Let's go to Tesla, SEC filings. Let's see here. So now, here it is. You know, what I should do is put this on my iPad. It's going to be a little easier to read. And then we can see what their filing is. It's Tesla shareholder group against share plan. Yeah, unfortunately, too, I think more of this is going to happen. I'm not personally very optimistic that Elon Musk's plan is going to get reaffirmed. I recognize that's not great for Tesla and what that potentially means for the company. But I'm not optimistic that people are going to vote for Elon's new share package heavily due to the performance of the stock. I think people are unfortunately going to take that out on the share comp plan. What that does to the stock, I have no idea. You know, there was some while this downloads here, I'm waiting for this to pop up. Otherwise, I'll just show it on screen in a moment here, but it's coming through. You know, yesterday, Warren Redlick, who's been a pretty big Tesla bull, I've met him in Florida before as well. We talked some Tesla. He announced that he was selling a portion of his position. Boy, and he got chastised. Let's see here. Yeah, he wrote, I just sold 20% of my Tesla stock. Hated to do it. Here's the post. Hated to do it. Significant risk. And it says, the shareholders vote no on the compensation package. This would be correctly seen as a vote of no confidence in Elon. This is likely, Elon is likely to leave if it happens. If Elon leaves, the AI team leaves quickly, the dream is dead, the stock collapses, and the company never recovers. Not much upside in a yes vote. So a lot of risk that he sees in the shareholder vote not going through. So Warren selling about 20% of his Tesla stock to de-risk. If we jump on over here, this is, what do we have here? We write to urge you to vote against the election of Kimball Musk and against the ratification of Elon Musk's 2018 stock option award. Last year, several of us wrote the board and raised concerns regarding the dearth of independent directors and poor oversight. Since then, the governance, performance, and human capital management problems remain unchecked and further indicates that Tesla must act to protect shareholder value. Even as Tesla performance is floundering, the board has yet to ensure that Tesla has a full-time CEO who is adequately focused on the long-term sustainability of the company. Remember, and I've said this before, I realize it's quite unpopular, but I don't think there's anything wrong with hiring a full-time CEO and still being involved, like Jeff Bezos, for example. But you know, being the visionary that's still there, the idea maker, just it takes you out of the daily kind of CEO nonsense. Anyway, in January, a decision from the Delaware courts validated investor concerns that the board has been captured and is not able or unwilling to provide effective oversight of management. In her decision revoking, she found extensive ties between CEO and the board, which led to a breach of fiduciary duty for the shareholders. And the prior say-on-pay vote was not fully informed because the proxy statement inaccurately described key directors as independent and misleadingly omitted details about the process. Rather than heed critiques of the court, Tesla has relied on a one-person special committee of the board to reapprove the compensation plan without advice from a compensation consultant or new analysis, and is asking shareholders to restore that same plan. So their argument, independence is scarce on the Tesla board. Then they go through some of the ties. This ample evidence the board is overly beholden to Elon Musk. Then you've got, I'm not going to read all of this. This right here is where he basically talked about this potential of taking AI away, right? This is on the heels of Musk's posts on X that he is uncomfortable growing Tesla to be a leader in AI and robotics without having 25% voting control, a move widely seen as a threat to push Tesla's board to grant him another mega pay package. Yeah, well, and then he also mentioned in the last earnings call that, you know, if he happened to be abducted by aliens, then, you know, maybe the future of Optimus would be at risk. So I think it's worth writing that in here. Also in earnings call, suggested future of Optimus at risk. A little more here. They're complaining about Tesla board oversight and drug use allegations by the Wall Street Journal, which were brushed off by other members of the board. Way worse than one bad quarter. Our concerns over Tesla governance and the distracting initiatives pursued by Musk are reinforced by Tesla's declining share price over the past 3 years. Yeah, it's true. It's since fallen 62% from its peak. Crazy. Okay. Board's failure to confer or curtail CEO jeopardizes the Tesla brand. Over the past few years, Elon Musk has dominated the headlines with his public fights with regulators, the acquisition of Twitter, controversial statements on X, and his legal and personal troubles. Tesla's reputation has been deeply intertwined with Elon Musk, and there are indications the steady stream of negative Musk-related press has led to a decline in the company's reputation amongst consumers, which is having a negative effect on Tesla's bottom line. They refer to Caliber's consideration score, where Tesla's consideration score plummeted from 70% to 31% in February of this year. Wow. And I remember when that news came out, but just seeing it again, it's like, ooh, it's a lot. The results of poor working conditions continue to emerge at Tesla, further jeopardizing its brand. Tesla is currently fighting 2 lawsuits by government agencies alleging racial discrimination in Fremont. Then we've got, including segregation in part of the factory, often referred to as the plantation or slave ship. Racist symbols and slurs written on walls of common areas. Anyway. Then over here we've got... things are crazy. You know, obviously this is just sort of a list of all the bad things you can imagine, right? It's not balanced by all the good things. But a committee of one in a hurried process for compensation, chaotic legal landscape, 2018 pay package does not serve Tesla shareholders. In 2018, one could argue the rigor of the targets, but by now these goals have all been met. And this right here is a way that, you know, a lot of people are looking at saying pay what was promised, right? That it was sort of a promise to pay. Shareholders should not pretend that this award has any kind of incentivizing effect. It does not. What it does have is an excessiveness problem. See, and unfortunately, because of the latest performance, now you have people speculating and debating whether the pay is excessive or not, which kind of changes the whole narrative a bit there. In conclusion, in light of these myriad of concerns, we urge you to vote against the ratification of the pay package. And here are some of the different companies: Unison, Sock Investment Group, whatever. All these various different involved parties. Smaller names, but still, it's the first poopy doopy letter seen on the shareholder vote. So that's probably going to weigh on Tesla here. Keep them under that 174 line. It's just that potential of, okay, well, what happens if the share plan doesn't go through? And so you may end up having a lid on the stock, at least until, I think it's June 13th, which is when the vote is. So once that clears, it seems like your... there we go. It seems like you're, you know, pretty, what's it called? How should I say it? You can kind of unlock a rally, potentially. Especially if it comes around the same time as we have more visibility in interest rates. Okay. Alrighty. So, now what? Now we're going to go to... let's jump in here.
In its earnings report, a mixed report here. Profits came in better than expected. Revenues fell a little bit shy of expectations, but there are some general signs of a turnaround plan taking hold there, and Macy's is seeing some positivity on the heels of that, up 2.25%. On the other side of things for earnings, we've also got Lowe's on the retail side, up about 2.5% to 3% at this point, better than expected earnings and revenues. It also saw a smaller drop in sales at established store locations. The do-it-yourself customer may be flagging a little bit there, but the contractor's doing pretty well, so we'll watch that. And then check on cryptocurrencies. Bitcoin is back above 71,000, Ether above 3,700. Some more optimism about the progress from a possible Ether-based ETF coming up at some point that's driving that kind of broader ecosystem higher. So, Joe, watch Robinhood, MicroStrategy, Coinbase among some of those stocks getting a bid. I'll send things back over to you guys.
I watch if you say please, Dom.
Pretty pleased.
Pretty pleased with sugar on top. We got to go. Make sure you join Becky and Andrew tomorrow.
No, Andrew's up.
Okay, I'm not really sure what they're yapping about here. Waller just yapped. Fed Waller says he needs to see several more months of good inflation data. Okay, yeah, here we go. Let's write this down. So, Waller of the Fed. Waller of the Fed. So these just came out. Need to see several more months of good inflation data before being comfortable in easing policy. Then we have expectation that there would be an exception to that would be a significant easing in labor, unless significant weakening in labor, I should say, not easing. Further increases in policy rate, probably unnecessary. Further increases, probably unnecessary. Yep, that's so far pretty consistent. April inflation data suggests progress towards 2% has resumed. April inflation data suggests progress towards 2% has resumed. That's an interesting way to put it. Okay, sort of, right. We're back on the path. Okay. Data suggests inflation is not accelerating. Wage growth is still a bit higher than desired, but not that high. We'll be closely watching. And credit card and auto loan delinquency suggest the consumer is starting to come under stress. Finally, they're mentioning it. Although they do mention it too in like the minutes. I think we have minutes coming out tomorrow. Let me look at the calendar. Credit card and auto loan suggest consumer is under some stress. Yeah. And then interesting, they always cast aside this wage growth or wage price spiral issue. Wage growth still a bit higher than desired, but not that high. That's very similar to what JPOW said as well, sort of like, we're not so worried about higher wage growth. We had some really high wage growth in 2023, and prices actually collapsed at the end of 2023. So, well, inflation did. Yeah, minutes are scheduled for tomorrow. A little quiet on catalysts, really, until Nvidia, honestly, and then we're looking at the jobs report. So the level of catalysts have been on the low sides. It's been a little slow and boring.
I mean, that was the strangest story. It's like, hey, when we go to war, well, I didn't know we were about to go to war. But if we do go to war, thank heavens ASM's big systems will still work. I mean, we can pull the plug on them. No, guys, let's not issue things like that.
Right.
Now, Lam Research is up it's up 60 points on the split. Now, warning to other people in Semiconductorville, if you do a split, that's a better way to get your stock up than beat. Maybe I got to talk to Kesha. I'm sorry, Nikesh. Maybe I got to talk to Nikesh about splitting his stock.
We're going to get to Palo Alto in a minute. We do have some breaking news on the Fed this morning, and for that, we're going to turn to Steve Leisman.
Oh, yeah, we just covered that. Yeah, Palo Alto, they missed. So we just covered this on Waller, so nothing so exciting over here. In fact, we could just kind of look at what the Qs are saying for right now. Yeah, the Qs didn't really like Waller's comments on several more months being required. But, oh well, I guess. So, geez, you did get a little bit of hate here. Palo Alto Networks, not a great read yesterday. Palo Alto Networks, and I wonder how that'll. I mean, this is on your SaaS biz side, so their fiscal year revenue did beat, but I'm trying to figure out where they missed. Oh, fiscal year billings. Interesting, billings missed, but revenue beat. So, billing softness persists. Billings softness persists. Okay, slight miss. And what was their forecast for the next quarter? Yeah, I mean, it's a nominal miss here. I mean, you're talking about a midpoint here of 3.455 divided by 3.47. You're talking about a miss of like 0.5%. 0.5% miss. It's crazy. This is why I'm saying, like, Wall Street wants beats. The street wants to beat. You don't get beats, like big beats. I should say that. The street wants big beats. Then you end up getting whacked. And especially SaaS businesses, which have a little bit of a higher multiple. So the stock's down about 666 here in pre-market. It was down as much as 9% in aftermarket yesterday. Let's see, what is this? Elon lost my trust. Smart dude, though. I think there are a lot of people like that. Can Elon get his 25% control if he uses his compensation money to buy back shares? Well, there's technically a share award, so theoretically, yeah. 15 quick push-ups. Oh, Macy's. Okay. Yeah. Let's see if we can actually work on what we promised yesterday for the rest of the year. What is this? I really wanted to say I spent 50 minutes with you, answered every effing question. I was thinking, why bother interviewing? Who are you talking to? 50 minutes with whom? Not me. With somebody else. Actually, I don't know. Did anybody talk to you? Who are you? Haters say Tesla is only good because of Elon, then turn around to say he shouldn't be considered as important. Activate FSD and tell it to pick a GD lane. Haters say Tesla is only good because, and then turn around and say he shouldn't be considered. Well, I think Elon's considered important. So I don't know who's saying that. Let's see here. Imagine their letter to investors. If it doesn't pass and the stock craters, how will they justify telling people voting against it will protect their shareholder wealth? Well, I mean, technically, it is also anti-dilutive to the tune of 10%, right? So it's sort of like you're undiluting the stock by 10% if you don't do the plan. So you have to overcome that. You know, I don't know. It's gonna be very interesting, but I think that's what other folks are saying. Oh, anonymous YT is talking to this Kenneth Holstead. I don't know who that is. All these companies increasing profit with their revenue down doesn't sound great for inflation unless they're cutting staff. Increasing profit with revenue down. Increasing profit with revenue down would mean headline revenues are down, so the inflationary aspect of prices is down, and then they're becoming more efficient on their expenses. Yeah, so cutting staff or either other expenses, subscription revenues, whatever. That's also true on paying the taxes. Got to sell some of those shares to pay taxes. That's true. Let's see what else here. Yeah, I saw the sort of, what's it called, Max, you're saying, did you see Tesla tease the robotaxi concept? Yeah, I mean, it was really a picture of, like, a drawing. I mean, to me, it just feels a little bit like, I really hate to say it, but it feels like a, you know, it's like now we've gotten to try to pump the stock by showing renderings. And these aren't even renderings. These are, like, sketches. So, you know, and they're trying to show off that there's no steering wheel. But, like, this is old news. We've known that they've been working on a no steering wheel car, you know, frankly, for like 4 years. Oh, did Bostic just yap too? I didn't see Bostic. Policy is having a serious impact on rate-sensitive markets and delaying investment? Yeah, Tesla's an example of that. TMF? Yeah, it probably hit bottom, honestly. Let me see. I think bond yields now, we're at what, 442? Oh, wow. Oh, yeah, no, 442. Yeah, I mean, he had a slight uptick in the last few days here in yields, but frankly, you're down from that 468. Might be a slow growth of TMF from here. I got laid off from Tesla. I managed their cyber fleet in Irvine. I even delivered a cyber. Okay, it was a good run, rep. What? So, were you in the sales delivery side? Trying to think of where you would have been, like where people basically either come pick up their cars, or I suppose in some cases you deliver them. It's really interesting. Sorry to hear that happen, first of all, but I'm also surprised on the Cybertruck side, they're doing layoffs as well. But then again, I guess it depends. Were you part of the regular sales group, and does the cyber group only, like, is it separate from the regular sales group? You said cyber fleet, which implies it's just the Cybertruck group. That sucks. What are the chances Elon doesn't get a yes vote? I mean, unpopular opinion, but I'd probably argue 60%. What would Elon have to do to be good in the public opinion again, or is it even possible? Yeah, it's tough. I think once you come out with a politicized opinion, you're kind of like, you kind of get pigeonholed into that. And the only way to sort of get out of that pigeonhole is to flip, you know, but then you're burning the other group. It's just bad. It's just all around bad. So that's why I always try to be just as neutral as possible on the channel. GWAV over. Well, they issued shares. So that's one. That's to be expected. Remember that. You would anticipate that these companies are going to issue shares. By the way, doing a great event in June. So if you haven't yet signed up for the event, we're going to do. I guess I should put a little banner in this. Join the 2.5-day live event in Vegas, June 21 to June 23. On real estate, finance, investing, taxes, entrepreneurship, sales, and more. Oh, yeah, I should make that little scrolly banner. And there we go. Boom, look at that. Oh, I should also add, go to meetkevin.com. Meetkevin.com to sign up. There we go. Hope to see you there. No John Steps. Can't talk about that publicly. Even if the vote fails, surely a new comp package to 2030 gets created anyway. Right. Which will get overwhelming approval for another 10x gain in the stock price. Yeah, I don't think so. I mean, yeah, sure, if they're like, oh, we'll 10x the stock, will you get another comp plan? Sure. But I don't think even Elon will see that as entirely realistic. I think there'll be some form of new stock plan that compensates him for past work. And then maybe some thresholds going forward, yeah. But I think there'll be some balance of sort of adjusting compensation going back. So I think even if that vote fails, they'll just have another bite at the apple with something else. Yeah, Robinhood's been doing very well, and the momentum movement really helped, especially I think even crypto trading. You know, it's with Bitcoin and Ethereum at these prices, you're in a pretty great place for Robinhood. So I'm been pretty excited about the stock. It's doing really well. It's at 21 bucks now. All right, let's listen in here for a moment. Oh, looks like they're moving out. Yeah, why would Elon agree to a new package if they just screwed him out of the last one? Well, I mean, theoretically, you would do it within a properly independent board or compensation committee or whatever, right? Actually, mass producing the Tesla bot, hypothetically speaking, mass produce the Tesla bot and there are no issues, how much would the stock rise? Well, I mean, first of all, that's probably 5 years away. But, yeah, I mean, there'd be a huge catalyst. You would really have to be the company that is first to market for it to be really for people to be enthusiastic about it. Because if you're not first to market, then it's all going to come down to margins. You know, first market creates a lot of enthusiasm because people think you have a huge lead, like with FSD. But if you're not first market, which there are a lot of competitors in the robotic space, then the next level would be, we need to have better margins than the competition and sell more than the competition, so you have to be better than the competition. And then it gets challenging because then you quickly become, at the same time, like sort of what cars are, you know, a margin competitive industry, and then it comes down to manufacturing scale. Anyway, Bostic suggests, based on the April report, one number is not a trend. Rates are restrictive, but let's see, doesn't expect a rate cut before the fourth quarter, and they're rethinking their view on the neutral rate. Yeah, not a surprise. Jury is still out on the long-term neutral rate. Let's write that down. Bostic. Jury still out on long-term neutral rate. Rethinking views on it. And doesn't see cuts until Q4. That would be October to December. Yeah, that's roughly where I sit as well. And then regarding April, 1 month doesn't make a trend. Yep. That's pretty expected. Yeah, I don't think you're going to be able to read how the vote's going other than just when the vote's done, knowing. Oh, really? So what do you hear, Sasha? So, do I think the Doomberg terminal is worth it? Depends what you do. You know, a lot of industry traders use it because, you know, they link their brokerages to it. But these require institutional data agreements, and they're very expensive. And really, unless you're, like, in the need for substantial real-time news, why did Robinhood just drop? Then I don't know how useful it is. You know, I think the reporters are great people, but I think the company is also not managed that well. I'm not very enthusiastic about the company. And I think their customer service is, quite frankly, well, let's just say it leaves something to be desired. So do I really think it's worth it? For most people? And I used to have a different opinion on that. I used to be a big fan of saying, oh, all in Bloomberg. Then we've gotten to discover some of their customer support teams. Okay, so Morningstar says September to December. Yeah, that would make sense. House of Cards. People that are neutral usually piss off more people than those that pick a side. That's fine with me. People can have whatever opinion they want. I'll just do my best. What stock pick you ever made? What? Worst stock pick? I don't know. Tesla? I'm just kidding. No. Made money on Tesla. But anyway, okay. So let's take a peek here. So let's go with... Now somebody in the chat's calling me a politician. That's hilarious. I've never been a politician in my life. It's funny, you know, they're always... I always think it's funny when, like... Why does a hater come to the market open live stream? Like, you gotta have a really bitter attitude and just be pissed. Like, you gotta just be losing money or I don't know, somebody just left you and your family or like your spouse or something. I don't know what's going on in your life, but you got to be so bitter to show up here at, you know, the wee morning hours and spew hate. What a loser. But I pity them. I pity thy fool. It's sad. Oh well. I hope things get better for them. Okay, yeah, Robinhood's little move there was a glitch. I don't know what happened there. Look at that. All the way down to 1997. Wow. Okay. That's remarkable. That's a bizarre little candlestick down there. And then Tesla. Oh, it's trying to recover here in the pre-market. Look at that. It's above its 170, 416 line again. And then, ooh, Nvidia rotating down. Ooh, do you short it going into earnings? Ooh, interesting. Amazon halts orders of Nvidia superchip to await updated model. Ooh. Ooh, is that so? Let's find out here. Well, this just became an interesting morning. Yep, AWS halts orders of Nvidia Hopper chip to await new chip. Well, that makes a lot of sense, though. Like, why would you buy the H100 if you could just wait for Blackwell? Yeah, stop buying the old crap. Halts, so it's cannibalization, right? Halts orders of Hopper chip to await new chip. That's the Blackwell. So this is not only cannibalization. This is not only cannibalization, but it's also a sign that AI demand must not be so great that Amazon is forced to accept any chips at any price, which was the case in Q1 2023. That is now over. That suggests... Oh, this is interesting. You ready for this, folks? Watch this. I'll type it with you. That suggests substantial price deflation in Hopper chips coming quickly. Sadly, that probably also means balance sheet write-downs for Tesla's Hopper inventory. But that's just sort of insult to injury, not to add insult to injury. Is it still injury at this point? Or would it be to a critical patient? Okay, no, I'm just going to say injury. That's very interesting. So, is this a leading indicator of future AI demand? That's the question. That will be very interesting. Let's see here. Oh, how is Amazon doing in reaction to this? Yeah, Amazon's down on this too, which is very interesting. It could also be a signal of weak demand for AWS, right? Could also be isolated to weaker demand for Amazon servers. Yeah. So we're not sure about that yet. Love the channel. Keep doing what you're doing. Oh, thanks for the $5. Up 315% for the year. Wow. Make chips worse, Nvidia. No, yeah, of course you're not going to have AI chip demand forever. Yeah, Amazon's now selling off a little bit more. Down about a whole... This is going to drag the whole market down, I wonder. Yeah, Amazon can handle all their compute that they need with the prior chips. Yep. Looked at buying the Model Y recently, but the salesperson told me they were refreshing it soon. That's really interesting. That's yeah, it's interesting because that's where on the Model Y, that's where they're doing the 0.99% interest. Nvidia, someone wants in cheaper. Someone wants a discount before earnings. IV too high, wait, yeah. That's funny. Yeah, you know, running for political office doesn't make you a politician. In fact, a lot of people run for political office because they're not a politician. Because they want to bring non-political views to an office that needs help. And I think everybody can agree, almost everybody can unanimously agree that California needs a smidgen of help. Democrats and Republicans can agree on that. Meg Stocks, if you haven't joined Meet Kevin's course, you should. I joined 3 years ago, and the community is great, and Kevin's such a nice guy. Oh, thank you so much for saying that. It's really nice. Yeah, it's also been fun trading with everybody and sending alerts. Remember, my goal with the Stocks Insight group is to send alerts on trends I'm seeing, lines I'm playing, or whatever it might be. So, it's been going well so far this year. Ooh, Tesla just turned green. Look at that. Really playing these lines again. I think I made like 14K on trading Tesla in between those two lines yesterday. All I did was trade from here to here. It's so easy. Get in, get out. Exactly. Massive deflation in Germany's PPI. German PPI deflation? What? Did I hear PP deflation in Germany? 999. Yeah. I mean, I think we're going to have broad deflation, frankly. I just don't know when. The question is, will you have that deflation before the Fed starts cutting? That's the rough part. Love the trading. Keep it going even after you go back in with less cash. Yeah. No. I know what you're saying. Demand is there for Amazon. It's just waiting for the best of the best. I'm sure Amazon already has plenty of H100s up and running. But that's the point. Like if you were so backed up on demand right now, you wouldn't wait 6 months because you would be milking all the profit between now and then. But obviously, like you say, you have enough. So that means you're already at capacity, right? So again, if they were way overwhelmed with AI demand, they'd be like, give us used chips, anything, any kind of chip to get our hands on. So it's just, obviously, we know that at some point that growth would slow down. All right. Here we go. 13 seconds. Here we go.
Real-time exchange of the big board. It is BTIG celebrating its 18th Commissions for Charity Day. Bob Pisani is going to be there later this morning.
Everybody should do that. We would have so much money for charity if everybody.
And at the NASDAQ, it's Enact, a mortgage insurance provider. Jim, you mentioned Apple. A lot of discussion yesterday looking at the Microsoft hardware and the Qualcomm partnership. Some argued was a long-awaited response to what Apple did with the M1 like 4 years ago.
Couldn't agree more. I know know Qualcomm has been a horse. 120 goes to 200. I will say that maybe there's no
AI chips from QCOM from Microsoft. Ooh, interesting partnership. It's like a double hit on Nvidia today. So Nvidia's basically flat right now. Tesla actually rallies. Look at that, 45 bips. Getting rejected there by that 175 line. Let's see if it can end up breaking through. Nvidia is trying to figure out what direction to go. Looks like that direction is trying to be up. I don't know if it's going to be able to pull it off. We shall see what happens here with Nvidia on the eve of earnings. Tesla trying to break through. Can it break through? It's at 72 basis points, 80 basis points. It's running. It's running. At the same time, the Qs are bleeding down. Robinhood gives up its pre-market lead and
lost the lead.
Down. Amazon down 1%. Palo Alto Networks is recovering. Tesla's up at 1%. Looks like it's going to go to 178 today, boys. 178 is the target. Can it make it there? Bitcoin's stuck at its 71-ish line. Coinbase drops like a rock. Probably going back to 223. You got ARM up 13 basis points. ChargePoint up 34. GameStop down another 6%. Holy moly. Greenwave on share issuance down 57%. Faraday Future down 18%. Peloton on issuing convertible bonds down 12%. Crown Electric down 9%. The momentum wave is over. 7% on Palo Alto, 6.5% on GameStop. Even hims and hers. Oh, look at that. Drops the support line. Boy, yesterday we were really playing some of these lines. Made some money on this one. But I was looking at the press afterwards. Less press than I would have expected on accepting those GLPs. I was a little surprised by that. So where are we today? 129 there on Nvidia. Barely holding on, trying to go green here. Tesla keeps going. It's at 177. It's going for it. Nvidia is turning red. Then you've got, oh, now it's going for a green candle again. It's all over the place. Tesla keeps going. Faraday Futures, 19%. Enphase, Apple, ARM. Ooh, ARM's trying to run on this. How is Microsoft doing on this news? MSF Tizzle. Flat. Flat. Nvidia still trying to find a direction. Robinhood slightly down. Qs are trying to come back up. Tesla's almost at 178. It's at 178. Now is it going to make it to 178.56? Or will it bounce before then? That's the big question. And then will it be shorted down? Back to 174. Nobody knows. Nobody knows. What's Jimbo got to say about it all?
Sell Nvidia when then the greatest companies of our time will want to be first in line. I mean, that's just, no, it's like Anthony Edwards. It's like, who's playing this? Wow.
Yes.
You have these guys in the, you have the final four of the NBA, and they all are like, who's trying to get the chips? And Amazon will get the chips for anyone.
We haven't touched on Palo Alto, which is obviously lower.
Let me do that.
There's still some comments, Jim, about how the stock needs to reset, or that this was just one chapter toward recovering.
All right, now, okay, so the stock, this is how much the stock was up going in. There were a couple of guys who raised numbers to where they couldn't be beaten on Friday, and that's an old tactic. You don't do, a guy with a hold who raised numbers to where you can't be beaten is a guy who wants the stock to go down. That's a time-honored tactic among analysts. I thought that Nikesh did a good job. The billings number he said over and over again. By the way, Salesforce.
You can't make it up. Look at it. You literally cannot make this stuff up. Let's see if it ends up breaking through, though. I mean, you're just on the 1 minute getting rejected here. But that was like a perfect rejection. You saw it live. The line wasn't there. We were down here at 176, and I'm like, I think it's going to go to the 178 line. Right to the 178 line. Gets rejected. What a surprise. It's like, it's so unsurprising that I think there's a reason that, we've really been more actively trading this year since March. And since March, what are we? Realized P&L is $757,000 on $1 million account. That's pretty good. It's a pretty good return. Now, obviously, knock on wood, hopefully we can keep that going, but I just send alerts on the line in the Stocks and Psych group. If you want to join it, make sure you go to meetkevin.com, make sure you're part of it. You pay once, you get lifetime access forever. So, let's see what happens here. I always like to watch. 1 minute candle isn't enough for me. I like to get a 5-minute rejection because you could get a breakout. So we'll see what happens. Looks like we're building up our 2nd or 3rd minute of rejection right here. We'll see what happens. So we'll come back to that. Nvidia beginning to rotate down. It's at down about 1% right now. What are the Qs doing? Qs are, trying to rotate down a little bit as well. Microsoft continues to push. Tesla continues to be stuck right there. Oh my God, look at that candlestick on Microsoft. It's so large. It's so thick. Just came out of nowhere there. Still getting a little bit of red there. Can Tesla break free? I don't know. Faraday futures down about 25%. Oh, let's see here. Bitcoin, Ethereum, stuck in the mud. Although maybe they shouldn't be stuck in the mud. They should be stuck in the clouds with how high these suckers are going. How about Eli Lilly? Ooh, 3% on Eli Lilly today. Wow. So they really got a lot of the enthusiasm versus hims and hers. That's very interesting. Let's see here. Let's see here. What is this? NIO's up 2% for solar. Still getting rejected by Tesla there. Where else? Disney's at 103. Ran much higher there for a while. Where do we see? Yeah, let's look at that. Oh yeah, look at that. 125 is really what you ran up to. 123-ish. Wow, remarkable. Nvidia once again trying to go up here, but it really keeps getting stuck around 1% down. Tesla's really getting stuck over here too. Look at that. That's here's your 5-minute candle, pretty much right there. If I go to the 1-minute candle, averaged, let's go to unaveraged. Look at that. Now you can't make this stuff up. Pretty straightforward. Let's see here. Nvidia, Robin the Hood. Where's Nvidia, by the way? Where are our lines on Nvidia? We're kind of in no man's land here. That's not great. Tesla. Oh, the Qs rotating down. Solid rotation down there on the Qs. And no, never mind. It's already trying to pick back up. Look at that. Look at that. As I say it, it just magically turns green. Very interesting. Yep. There goes Tesla. Enphase down as well. Yeah. Okay. What else? Ooh, that's like a little gapper there on Enphase. See, it looks so much more pretty when you use these averaged candlesticks. There we go. Much better. Gives you a little more of a look at the trend, so to speak. All right, let's see what Jimbo's got.
Fine. But Eli Lilly, I'm still waiting for them to come out. I'm a little disappointed that they haven't come out with the dementia stuff that the FDA wanted right now. But this is another one where there's so much demand. Now, I've been with people who say, listen, people stop taking it after a year. I think that the trials that are going on make it so that if you can have, fatty liver, you can't stop taking it. Diabetes, you can't stop taking it. If there's any comorbidities, you can't stop taking it. the question is always the same thing. Will the insurers pay for it? And that we're not sure about yet.
Interesting piece out of Bloomberg today about, speaking of insurance, commercial property insurance in Florida because of climate change.
What a transition.
Rising at 5 times the national rate.
I don't know how people look. Those people who are just doing it because of taxes, give me a break. I mean, that insurance. We looked at it. We looked at a place. Lisa loves real estate because we're not in stocks. I mean, she has the equivalent of a monopoly game. They're anti-monopoly. It is Con's anti-monopoly. But where she just said, let's go look at beachfront property. And a lot of the guys have gotten wise. They don't cover. Write.
Yeah,
they don't write. And I remember the late Mr. Fishman ran Traveler said, here's something you need to know. Don't ever buy Florida real estate because we're not going to write. And one day nobody's going to write because it's just too dangerous. Wow. Look, on June Road, they don't write on the in this Long Island. So those rate, that's going to hurt the season. That's going to be CPI.
Right.
Miserable.
Right. On the other hand, AutoZone, Jim, I wonder what you made of a couple of quarters. AutoZone, there's Zoom we haven't gotten to.
Right, well, AutoZone, once again, this is when you buy it, right here. Because they buy back stock like no other company. So you buy it right here, and they'll be buying back stock in 3 days, and you'll be really grateful that I mentioned it. Zoom, oh, God, Kelly Steckelberg is so nice. Eric is so nice. They have no growth. And, 1% growth. And until they get actual growth there, you can't own the stock. I love the Zoom contact. I feel so bad because Eric Yuan is a true genius.
Tesla, by the way, gets rejected again right here. Look at that. Once again. It breaks down there at that line. AutoZone, though, Jim. Really?
But the fact is that Zoom has not been able to parlay what it has into a series of apps that we would like, and it's not parlayed it into growth. So therefore, no growth, no one wants to buy it. By the way, DocuSign is in a similar situation. Again, you get these companies, and you root for them. But they don't have growth. And when they don't have growth, then, these people, everybody wants Rule of 40. They want big RPO. They want big billings. And I give you a company that grows at 1%. No.
Meantime, some of these other pandemic names, Jim, Peloton doing some refinancing to alleviate the cash crunch.
Yeah.
That's down 14.
Yeah, good luck there. That's another shrimp scampi.
Right. Tesla's actually behaving pretty well here, Jim, even amid analyst reports just highlighting how dependent the company is on Musk not going away.
Well, I mean, look, it's Adam Jonas again, and thank heavens for Adam Jonas. I mean, he writes as much as Stephen King. Stephen King's my favorite. Remember, he's the Charles Dickens of our team, and people don't recognize that. He had a Kramer Hardware begins with a C in one of his books. I'm still convinced I have such an ego that he was watches our show. But when the piece that Jonas did on Tesla was brilliant, because what he's basically saying is if you want all that AI, and you don't want a car company, you got to vote yes. And
on the pay package.
Oh, my God. We got to vote. Everyone in the world has to vote yes for that thing because he's going to take his bat and his ball and go home. And then you only own Tesla because then you're stuck with a car company. I don't want a car company. If I want that, I'll go buy Ford Motor.
Right. There's a huge graphic in the report about the Muskonomy, I think, as he calls it.
I wanted to steal that. Now you mentioned. I figured if a lot of people hadn't heard of it, I could integrate it on Mad Money. But then I'd feel bad. I'd have to credit Jones.
Yeah, but it's the SpaceX logo and the Tesla logo. And boring still? I don't know what.
Yeah, boring boat.
Yeah.
I want people at home to understand that you'll read. I mean, I'll read all these reports, right? And they're like, oh, my God, let me break that. Oh, let me break that. And then Jonas hits you. And it's, wow. It's ba-dum-bum. Jonas is just joy. I've called him a couple times. He's not allowed to talk to me because of the stupid compliance rules.
Yeah, yes.
I'll just say, man, you're great. Just keep up the great work. I don't know. I mean, I don't want the guy to ever retire.
Yeah, he doesn't come on as much. But
he's so good.
In retail, Jim, we mentioned Lowe's and Macy's. Like a call on GPS today. City goes positive catalyst. And we will get Urban tonight.
GPS has come all the way, Gap Stores has come all the way back down to where it almost yields 3. This Richard Dixon, who has a long history, I mean, it was like 9 West. He's been around forever. He is turning that company around, starting with Old Navy. I hope he gets Banana Republic right. But I will say that this guy is for real, and I want to do that trade. ANF and Gap are for real. The turn, ANF doesn't, it's not a turn, it's just been a relentless thing. There's a turn going on at Gap, and I think that Dixon is a leader who has inspired people again. I like him.
I'm just marveling
ANF,
at some of these charts and specialty,
ANF is
Jim.
Fabulous. ANF just can't miss. I don't know how it's possible. It has been a very quiet, fantastic run of which the analysts are just now turning, recognizing that it's real. Right. Look at that. I mean, that's been one of the great stocks of our time. Again, cutting back to this idea of how hard it is. I mean, that store is packed anecdotally, and then you go look at the financials, and you can take. I mean, it's a great thing that people at home can do. You go to your ANF, it's packed, and there's a preponderance that are. Right. Then you read through what they've done, and you don't realize that for a long time now they've been fantastic. Right. I really like them.
Just to finish out the block here on JPM, Jim, trying to get back some of the losses from yesterday. Second best Dow name at the moment.
Well, you know what? They do.
Ooh. Tesla just broke through a little bit. You have to be careful on calling a breakout on the 1 minute, even honestly on a 5 minute. I've seen these 5 minute moves before. If you go to Friday, look at this. We had this false breakout. This is on the 5 minute. So you really broke out for about an hour on Tesla on Friday. And look at that. You ended up getting rejected at 179.63. So I don't know if that'll end up holding. First 15 minutes of trades are always a little crazy, but we're into the second 15 minutes of trading now. So I'm just going to draw a yellow line here just as a reference point to where we were yesterday, or sorry, Friday. And let's see where that ends up moving. That'll be interesting. If we end up getting channeled here or we get squeezed in a particular direction. So we'll see. AWS really bleeding on this. News down 138. Nvidia is down about 142. You've got, let's see here, Robinhood's up 82 bips. Qs are somewhat rotating down. Let's go to the average candlesticks here for a moment. Yeah, somewhat rotating down, although coming up in the last minute there. Tesla trying to break through. Let's see if it can hold it. Hold it. Coinbase up 1%. Gave up some of its pre-market gains, though. I mean, it was up at 223 there for a while. Apple. GameStop's down 8%. And Laser down 7.55. It's wild. This one was moving part of the momentum rally, though, wasn't it? Let's see, 1.2. Oh, it's down at 1.2. It's still higher than where it was. How are some of the other momentum moves moving? Let me see here. So if I go here, I got Greenwave Technologies 58% as they did their share offering, but all of the momentum movers are down. I mean, Peloton on the convertible offering, Greenwave on an offering, Faraday, Crown, GameStop, all moving down on momentum. AMC's down 3%, though it did have a good day yesterday. Solid recovery yesterday. 9% day yesterday. You got to give them credit for that. That was pretty good. Ooh, Tesla's going for it. Look at that, 179.27. Let's see, getting a little bit of that red candle in there. Let's see where we go. All right. So let's try the Doomers. Let's see what the Doomers have to say for themselves. Let's listen in.
Is there going to be a dip in demand ahead of the release of Blackwell in the fourth quarter? If so, then you might expect a slightly disappointing forecast for the quarter we're in right now and the calendar third quarter. So that's why there is this share reaction. I think people expect, though, that in the medium to long term, it's all going to be fine.
Yeah, I mean, surely analysts who follow this company professionally are going to know if demand will lag when they introduce a new model. The same thing happens with car manufacturers all the time, and I imagine it's nothing new with chip makers either. This isn't the only chip maker in the news today, Alex. I thought it was pretty amazing that ASML and Taiwan Semiconductor would be able to turn off machines that make the highest tech chips in the world. This is in the case of China invading Taiwan, but I guess they have the technology to turn off these machines remotely for any reason they want.
I mean, in a sense, it maybe isn't that surprising when you think about the nature of the Internet of Things and the industrial internet, much of which is about being able to monitor and, of course, then perhaps control remotely industrial machinery. And this is like the ultimate piece of industrial machinery. The extreme ultraviolet lithography machine obviously is the top of the range, with the high NA coming out sort of shortly. But of course, this presumably applies to lots of different things, including deep ultraviolet lithography, and some of those machines are already in China. So it is something that perhaps doesn't surprise me. It is something interesting that they can, and perhaps provides a little bit of relief to anybody who's concerned about, what would happen if China were to invade. There are bigger issues, of course. If China were to somehow invade Taiwan, sort of just for the chip industry, they wouldn't be able to get all the components that are needed to make these chips. So there are lots of different reasons why just having these factories would not mean that they can replicate what Taiwan does.
I thought it was interesting that...
Now here's a little bit of an omen for you. Look at that move on BTC. I always like watching BTC for the direction. Maybe it's just a tool to keep you a dime in hand, and depending on what position you're in. But that's a little bad omen there on the 1 minute candlestick on BTC. It looks like Ethereum's doing the same. HIMS is trying to recover. Amazon's trying to recover as well, as are the Qs, though direction uncertain. As Tesla breaks right back under that 178.56 line. Now, Nvidia is bobbing around over here. It's not seeing a huge move in either direction right now. Then you've got Microsoft, same thing. Kind of had a little bit of a run there at the start after that news. It seemed like after they were announcing their partnership with the Qualcomm chips, or when that news hit, there was some enthusiasm for them. You've got Tesla going back to retest that line. Come on, baby. Macy's just gave up a little bit. And then you've got, you still got that omen there on BTC, Ethereum. Ooh, that looks messy. There we go. Enphase. Meta's not really going anywhere. A little boring in between. These sort of like 1% movers. Kind of boring. Amazon here, trying to recover. Oh, the Qs are going green again. Look at that move on the Qs. Bullish on the Qs. Tesla's stuck here. Not a surprise. It regularly gets stuck here, so this is not horribly uncommon. What's going on with these? Let's unaverage these candlesticks for a moment. There we go. Yeah, still legging a little lower on BTC, as well as Ethereum. Both of these legging lower. Coinbase now turning red, going over here to 225. Not uncommon. Q's trying to push higher. Very interesting. Okay, let's see here.
Very healthy pop. But what's really interesting here, Matt, is...
Let's go over. Let's jump.
And 91.
Nope, they're on commercial. Okay. All right. Let's see here. Nope. So Q's picking a direction. Tesla couldn't keep it up. See what? And that's when you go to the 5 minute. You gotta be careful on calling a breakout too soon. Saw some commentary on that one. Nvidia had a nice little attempted recovery here. Yeah, still, oh yeah. Are we gonna get another green candle there? Let's see. It's gonna be interesting to see where this moves before earnings. If there's profit taking before earnings, especially on that AWS news, or not. We'll see. Oh, Tesla's going back for another test. Boy, what sidewaysness today. Oh, look at that bounce. Ethereum, right on my line. And Bitcoin, I have no idea where, but it's in the middle of nowhere. These hollow candlesticks look kind of cool. Like, I feel like I'm a kid in art class and I got to draw in the colors. Looks cool. Anyway. All right. So, what else is there? Let's see what other news there is. So, minutes tomorrow. Then we've got existing home sales tomorrow. Yeah, nothing really exciting tomorrow. Okay. Just the minutes, really. And then sentiment on Friday. It's really kind of boring. Let's see, do we have PCE projections yet? Let's see here. I don't think so. We should. That's weird. Oh, I see. I see what I'm doing wrong. My bad. Hold on 1 second. I have messed things up. I will fix that. There it is. PCE. Okay, GDP annualized is expected to be 1.2% for the second read for Q1, which comes out on the 30th, which is pretty low. That'd be a revision down. And then you have PCE, which is expected for the 31st, last day of the month. That's expected to be 0.3% month over month and 2.7% year over year. So we'll see what happens there. Very interesting. Oh. Did I just lose audio on that? I think I did. Uh-oh. Yep. Alright, we'll come right back to that. Anyway, looks like we're getting a little bit of a Q's a do's sell-off there. Which Bitcoin just forecast. Alright. Which that's interesting. Let's try to turn that on again.
Better support.
Yeah, there we go. Now I got audio again.
Sees that spending.
Yep, audio again. And the Q's are already going back. This market, I think, really wants to rally to new highs. I don't think this market wants to be red. So, that's kind of interesting. That's all. Everybody's just going to wait for Nvidia tomorrow. And then we'll see what we get. There's Nvidia today. A slightly little bit of a red turn over there. Although, really, it's trading mostly sideways here. So I think you find a little bit more of a trend there. And Macy's really gave up today. Yeah, look at that. Downtrend continues on the BTCs. Still stuck on Ethereum. That's leaving Coinbase down at the 225. Under 113 on Enphase. Where are the lines on Apple? Yeah, Nvidia earnings are the only catalyst? Pretty much. Ooh! Apple! Wow. Intriguing. Wow, where's the trade today, folks? Give some trade ideas here. As usual, I always like to send alerts when I see goodies, and I make plays on them in the Stocks and Site group. I did send one earlier today. And so we'll see how many dollars we can earn from that one. Let's see how that goes. Good luck, everybody. But otherwise, where is everyone here? Let's go. Are people going on Macy's? Somebody says puts on Walgreens. Walgreens Boot Alliance. Ooh. Puts on Walgreens. Well, it's been, the trend is your friend, I suppose. It's been going down. Somebody here says calls on Hood. Ooh. Yeah, that 1794 line was, once they broke this, it really broke out. So, somebody here says calls on Apple. Those have been doing well. Zoom calls. Ooh, interesting. Hims. Hims is erecting. Oh, God. Is it? Ooh, let's see here. Oh, yeah, look at that. A little bit of a sell-off there after the run yesterday. Not a surprise to have some give back here. It's just every time I've drawn something on this one, it's been getting... It's lost its support. So that's that was a little surprising to me. It makes it a little harder to really bet on, short-term bullishness. Let's listen in here.
Live at Post 9, as always, from the New York Stock Exchange. David's on assignment. Take a look at stocks. Only the Dow is higher of the major averages, and it's just up by about 35 points, thanks to IBM adding 30 points. Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan, Microsoft, all helping the Dow stay positive. The S&P 500 is unchanged. There's strength in some of the defensive groups like utilities, staples, healthcare. They're all up today. Financials, I mentioned, are doing well. But weakness in technology, consumer discretionary, and industrials. That's why the Nasdaq's down 0.2%, though still up nicely for the week after yesterday's rally. Take a look at treasuries right now. Story has been stronger prices and lower yields. We see that today. 4.4% on the 10-year yield. On the 2-year, it's 4.8%. So continuing to inch off those highs. 30 minutes here into the trading session. Here are some movers we're watching. Lowe's and Macy's heading in opposite directions this morning. Both companies beating expectations for the quarter. Lowe's reaffirming the full-year forecast, but it is down 2%. Macy's slightly higher. Lam Research also gaining. The chip company announcing a 10-for-1 stock split, planning to repurchase as well, up to $10 billion worth of shares. And then watch crypto today. Bitcoin is hitting its highest level since early April. Ether touching mid-March highs as well. So the rally continues for crypto. But Carl, as far as the macro setup today, it's really all about the Fed speak, and there's a dizzying amount of it. And the takeaway from it is that it's not really doing anything to change the market's mind about this narrative that there will be easing this year, maybe 1, maybe 2 cuts, and that the Fed is in a wait-and-see mode to get more progress on inflation. Fed Governor Waller, just in the last hour, always a voter, always kind of a thought leader on the Fed. Here's the money quote I thought from him. In the absence of significant weakening in the labor market, I need to see several more months of good inflation data before I would be comfortable supporting an easing in the stance of monetary policy, which makes June sort of seem far away, right? Because several more months of data. He gave a grade for the April CPI report, I think like a C or C minus. Wants to see more progress, but obviously still happy to see it on trend. There's going to be an interview on CNBC with him later as well. So we'll see what he has to say. But just as far as other Fed speak to highlight, Cleveland Fed President Mester on the tape talking to Bloomberg, saying it's too soon to tell what path inflation is on, so we need to collect more information on that. That jibes. Mary Daly, San Francisco Fed president, telling a publication, I'm not confident inflation is yet coming down sustainably to 2%, but I don't see any evidence right now that we need to adjust upwards either. They're all in a lot of words and a lot of headlines saying the same thing, which is basically we need to see more evidence that inflation is going back down to target. They've got to be pleased that they've started to see that. There's Bostic, too, saying we talked to business leaders, and what they're telling us is that things are slowing down. My outlook is that inflation will continue to fall for this year and into 2025. Not ready yet, but they're getting there.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of rhymes with what Paul McCulley told us last week in the wake of CPI, and that is probably need 3 prints to get a trend going or confidence back on the committee. Interesting to hear Waller today be, I guess, initially the 2-year did spike up a bit on some of his comments, but then then later took it as dovish.
Yeah, because many more months maybe of progress, but he, they're not pre-committing one way or the other. He did say it's unlikely that the next move would be at hike, echoing Powell there. So that does seem to be sort of the consensus, at least. We'll get more from the minutes tomorrow. But Jamie Dimon of JP Morgan, echoing what he has said in recent months, still continues to be, I think, concerned about, first of all, geopolitics, but also sticky inflation. Listen what he said at their investor day yesterday.
I'm cautiously pessimistic. We have the most complicated geopolitical situation that most of us seen since World War II, if you study history. We don't really know the full effect of QT. I find it mysterious that somehow it had this beneficial effect, but it's not going to have a negative effect when it goes away. And I personally think that inflation may be a little stickier than people think, and that rates may surprise people.
Again, echoing some of the concerns he's had before on geopolitics, on QT and the reversal of that, on sticky inflation. So far, the market hasn't necessarily bought into that narrative, but to have someone like him, while JP Morgan is still doing so well, especially in the consumer bank, sound that alarm obviously is important to note.
Yeah, it was interesting, on a more micro level to see Wendy's, McDonald's, and Target, the big three high-profile consumer-facing names that are cutting prices at least for a little bit in the month of May.
Right.
So we'll see how much that folds into inflation data, along with crude, with Brent at a 2-month low today.
Right. So was that sort of reflationary surge in the first part of the year temporary, and will we continue to hear more Target reports tomorrow about lower prices? Certainly on the goods front, we know that's happening. The question is, is it happening more in the food aisle, which is where Americans are feeling the pain? Just listen to what the Macy CEO characterized the consumer as this morning on the call.
Our customers across all three nameplates continue to benefit from strong wage and job growth. However, inflationary pressures persist, and they're feeling that pinch. The outlook provided on our fourth quarter earnings call, as well as today's update, assumes our customers will continue to carefully scrutinize their discretionary purchases.
So good on the jobs front, but tough on the inflation front, as these price increases they're cumulative and they are sticking around, and even if the rate is coming down, they're clearly impacting the consumer. It's something we've heard from almost every consumer company, retail, staple, across the board during this earnings season.
Yeah, although as we pointed out with Jim, and thanks to Ed Yardeni, household personal discretionary income per household all-time high, ex the COVID spike. So it's hard to, you can argue both ways on the consumer.
The consumer's not falling apart.
Right.
Yeah, clearly there's a lot of tailwinds as well, but the inflationary effect, is being felt.
Yeah. For more on the markets this morning, Goldman Sachs Chief U.S. Equity Strategist David Kostin's here at Post 9 talk about his year-end target, which remains 5,200, David, even as some of your colleagues are at least raising their 12-month, raising their earnings for the year. Do you feel any pressure to do the same?
No. Confident that right now that the 5,200 target, which is just slightly below where we are today, if it's 5,300. And I think the argument is as follows. The market and investors are already incorporating into their forecasts the idea of the economy is slowing and rates are likely to get cut. Now, whether they get cut 1 or 2 times, that's largely in the dialogue and the narrative and the discussions we have with clients. So that's number one. The valuation of the market is high. Earnings in our forecast are around plus 8%. Carl, they came in at plus 6% for the first quarter. And so we just finished that right now. Some of the companies talking about things slowing, certainly on the retail you just referenced. Other cases, some of the financial companies more confident in terms of what's happening in terms of the consumer demand. So there's sort of a mixed picture we're getting on the commentary for managements on their conference calls. But basically, the idea of modest earnings growth is consistent with what we're seeing.
Now, the house view at Goldman is for a July cut.
Correct.
And then a cut on a quarterly basis, I think, from there on out. Wouldn't you expect or suspect the market could overshoot your year-end target, say, in the summer, if that happens?
Yes. Our forecast incorporates the interest rate outlook of Jan Hatzius, my colleague. And so we're assuming a cut in July and a cut later in the year, and then next year, as you indicated. Well, the likelihood of a election pullback later in the summer, in the early part of fall, is consistent with history. So that would be one risk variable to think about. If you think about what the market has done thus far in the first quarter results, companies that met or even beat guidance actually went down. It was only the companies that raised guidance. So near term, a lot of focus tomorrow is the Nvidia number coming out at the end after the close on Wednesday afternoon. So to the extent that there's a beat and raise there, that would be one indication of consistent with the pattern that we've seen thus far. Lots of questions that fund managers are asking about with respect to the return that is going to be achieved by a lot of companies who are investing, considerable cash and research and development and dollars in CapEx. On the AI front, that's a big topic of focus and questions we get from portfolio manager clients.
Should you be rewarding the stocks that are investing most in AI, or is that a risk because there'll be margin pressure?
So the way we think about Sarah is there's basically 4 phases. Phase 1, 2, 3, and 4. Phase 1 is Nvidia. It's clearly the leader. The stock's up 90% this year. It's been a hero in terms of the demand for their products. So that's sort of exactly phase 1. Phase 2, which is where a lot of the focus is, they've done well this year. It's the basically infrastructure companies. There are some cloud companies, lots of utilities. Utilities, some of the best performing stocks in the last month or
You think that's secular?
That is sort of the next phase of the AI trade, if you want to think about it in that terminology. Then there's companies that may, in sort of phase 3, those would whose revenues will be enhanced potentially as a result of AI widespread adoption. And then there's a fourth phase, which is where productivity growth actually benefits. That's a little bit longer term. I think there's a lot of debate about what is the investment horizon over which there's a return that's going to be achieved. In our view, in our forecasts, in our discussions with clients, we recommend infrastructure-related stocks. Those are some of the cloud companies, some of the big cloud companies we can think of, utility companies that are likely to benefit from the infrastructure build-out.
So, got it. What about the hyperscalers that are spending the most money, the Googles that are spending $12 billion a quarter?
Well, they are definitely spending to stay ahead of themselves. Risk there, and not that.
I just ran a little poll in the chat here. How much extra cash do you have to spend? The answers are more than before, same as before, and less than before. And that's brought by Alexandra here in the chat. As far as Tesla, you can see Tesla sort of bouncing around this channel right here. The market really feels like sideways to slightly up is what it feels like. I mean, you've certainly got Tesla that's up today, really stuck in this channel right here. But the Qs are slightly up. You've got Amazon's down, Microsoft, up and to the right. Apple just keeps going. It's been like daily that Apple has been up. Robinhood's mostly sideways here. Hims and hers, fell a little bit after yesterday's big move, but nothing dramatic here. Nvidia's been like this for a while. And these are always tough lines because you could really break out rapidly either up or down. I think it's like slightly more likely that you're going to have a breakdown here. But I don't know. I usually don't like playing trades where you have a balanced wedge like this. I like it when it's like, it's pretty obvious which direction it's going to go. That's why I much prefer trading the lines. So this one's a lot tougher today. It could go either way. 25% on FFIE. Yeah, look at that. You got the bounce on Ethereum. That brings a little bit of bullishness back. It was like a perfect bounce on Ethereum, mind you. I mean, that's perfect. I can go to the 5 minute and show you perfection. It's an amazing bounce on the line here. Not a surprise. Coin goes flat, also bounces. Enphase sitting a little below. Crown Electric. Ooh, big bleed out there in Crown Electric. I never played this one, but I mean, everybody knew going in that as soon as the momentum would go away, these would just bleed out. So none of that is a surprise. We talked about that as well. Green Wave issuing shares. That's exactly what the company should be doing. Ooh, TJT on a downtrend today. Ooh, look at the downtrend on the Donald J. Trump. How interesting. Tesla here. Yeah, look at that. Tesla's just sitting right there at that 178.56 line. Let's see which way it can go. Keep an eye on that. So, very interesting. All right, let's pop in Doomberg for a moment here. Great video yesterday. It was nice having simple, clean, human-like content. It's a breath of fresh air from you too. Oh, thank you for that. Appreciate that. Yeah. Poll should be net worth, not cash. Yeah. How much extra cash do you have to spend? 38% of you are saying more than before. Okay, so for those of you, there's an amazing course at meetkevin.com you should check out. In the Stocks and Site group, you get all the buy-sell alerts. Those of you that are the same as before, there's a coupon code link down below for you that can motivate you at meetkevin.com. It's already built in if you go to checkout. We made it a little easier for folks. And for those of you who have less money than before, you could save money by bundling up between different courses. Anyway, more than before, 38%, less than before, 40%, same as before, 22%. With 612 votes, that's a pretty balanced poll. Have to say, that's pretty dang balanced. Very, very interesting. Wow, somebody here. Hey, I've been a member for years. Oh, thank you for so much. Appreciate that. Oh, that's awesome. All right. Doomberg's on commercial. How boring. What about Simba Sis?
What matters most to you?
Nope, they're on commercial too. Look at Tesla. It's losing the line, my friends. Me friends, it is foregoing itself. The lines. Trust the lines. The lines don't lie. Yeah, we'll see which way this goes. Anyway. Alright, what else is there? Is there anything else? I don't know. Where's the next stop on DJ Tizzle? DJT! Well, it's down at 35 bucks. Woof! Woof! There's a way to go for that. Anyway, it's at about 8.7%. Oh! Hims is going green, baby! Gonna get to gain the lead here soon. That's remarkable. So, we'll see which direction we go here. Still optimistic on BTC and Ethereum. Yeah. Yep, slow bleed up, I feel like. Or melt up, I guess, is how we usually like to describe it on the Qs.
Venue Sports, and that it'll combine linear and digital feeds from all three of those broadcasters. Sources tell us it'll be in the $40 to $50 range. Now, all of these bundles aim to reduce churn, increase engagement, which is very valuable for ad revenue, and also to use their combined heft to reduce marketing costs. So now the big question is Paramount Plus, with its parent company facing some big questions, which apps it will decide to bundle with to address its lack of scale. That is a big question we're all watching right now. Back over to you.
So, Julia, on the pricing, any surprises there, and how does it compare to some of the others?
Well, I think what's really interesting here, Sarah, is we don't know what the prices of these other bundles will be yet. We have this big bundle coming from Warner Brothers Discovery and Disney this summer. I assume it'll be at a discount to buying those apps a la carte. And we have no idea also what the final cost will be for that sports streaming joint venture. But I think the idea here is this is a pretty meaningful discount, 30% discount. I think it's notable that we have the Netflix with ads. Netflix certainly would be incentivized to offer its product at a discount in order to drive volume to get that ad revenue up for themselves. But what they're doing here is they're really trying to drive audiences to their broadband plan. This is all about Comcast really trying to incentivize people to be locked into their broadband plan. And you can understand why for Apple TV Plus and for Netflix, this would be a good opportunity for them to team up with Peacock to grow their viewership.
Right. So you can't compare it necessarily to each other on price, but you can compare it to subscribing to the individual services themselves.
Yes.
So it's a pretty good discount on that.
So good discount for them themselves, and we'll see how these other bundles end up pricing. But they're going to have to offer a discount to the a la carte pricing for sure.
Okay, Julia, thank you. Julia Borston. For more on what this means for streaming rivals and their planned bundles, plus the landscape over and MoffettNathanson's founding partner, Michael Nathanson. First of all, Michael, is this a good deal for consumers? Do you expect big uptake?
Yeah, good morning. I think it's a pretty good deal for consumers. You basically get one of the three packages for free. That's how I look at it, right? So one of the three, you get two, you get one for free. So I think it's a good promo for people. The issue is Netflix is so widely distributed.
This is boring. I'm out of there. Oh, boy. Okay. Hims couldn't gain the lead. I'm trying to watch this. It just couldn't gain the lead. It just couldn't do it. So, down about 1%. Oh, Robin the Hood drops a bit here. Down about 1.9. Apple up 72 bedizzles. The Apple has just been on fire, man. Absolutely on fire lately. Just killing it. My only regret is not having bought more. But that's dangerous. I mean, you got to be so careful doing the woulda, coulda, shoulda. I think, like a 10-ish% allocation to Apple at 169 of any particular portfolio was good timing. It's done very nicely since then, especially on a play like Apple. I mean, Apple, I feel like, is one of those, grandpa lower risk plays, So that's a 13.6% in the span of 2 months or whatever on Apple. It's actually pretty decent, honestly, for something like that. especially because you just don't anticipate that sort of volatility. Tesla couldn't really break out here. Faraday Futures is still bleeding to death here. This is ridiculous. It's just the momentum rally's over. Donald Trump's defense rests its case in hush money trial without calling Trump as witness. Well, that's not a surprise. I think it would have been a big mistake for them to call Trump as witness. It would have opened him up to all sorts of cross-examination, and they don't want, him not answering wouldn't look good, or him saying, I don't remember, wouldn't look good. So what are you going to win? You're not going to win anything there. Enphase is dropping 172. Got some pain over here on Enphase. It's leading to some pain on Tesla right here. Looks like that 179.69, of course, a line was potentially a good short right here. DJT, it's been on a pretty solid trajectory down here. It's maybe slightly trying to find a bottom right here, but we've done that multiple times. You can see the bounce it had here at the 45.59. Losing this 45.59, I personally think is not great. I don't have many lines drawn for them, though. I got a 69 to the upside, but to the downside, I'm at 35.10. And obviously, I mean, with a momentum mover like this, it could go anywhere. Nobody freaking knows. You have to be really careful playing. You have to be very careful and fast playing these, because if you short them or you go calls on them, it could go in the opposite direction really fast on you. But yeah, my next stop here on a failure of support is $35, which is basically an $8 move at this point. That's pretty substantial. For it to move another $8, let's say it did that all today, it'd be a 19% on top of this. It'd be like a down 29% day, which, given the direction of the momentum plays, Crown Electric down 37, Faraday Futures down 27, 58 on Greenwave, doesn't seem horrible. Hello, family. We'll see what happens. What's up, Jack? Mom opened the door for you? You want to come say hi? What's up, buddy? Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Oh, yeah. We'll take care of that today.
Okay.
Give me some of that burrito, bro.
I'm not having a burrito today.
What?
Yesterday's didn't taste good.
Could you ask Mom to make it anyway, and I'll eat it?
Yeah.
But ask her to add love to it. All right. Anyway. All right. Let's see here. So, Tesla bleeds. Wow, it's remarkable. That is the same rejection point of Friday. The 179.69. There was only one rejection point, and it is the same point it got rejected on Friday.
She said she doesn't have enough time.
Tell her I'm devastated.
Okay.
Anyway. Somebody says 0 shortable shares for DJT. You go puts, man, if you're going to short it. Walgreens Boot Alliance. Oh, wow. Somebody said they were short Walgreens today. I mean, they were right. Look at it. It keeps bleeding. Good job on the Walgreens short. That one keeps bleeding. You're bleeding, homie. You're bleeding. Yesterday was a good day. Hopefully we can pull off a trading day like yesterday. What did we do yesterday? Oh, yeah. We went calls on HIMS yesterday. And I wanted to re-enter it. But this is how yesterday's trading ended up. And that was crazy because I think I only bet like 120K yesterday. Only. I know that's a big number. But my point is, like, percentage-wise, that's pretty... Yesterday was a good day. I'll take a day like yesterday, any day. Maybe we could recreate it today. Hopefully. I don't know. But that's interesting, this Walgreens move. I wonder what they saw. Is I don't watch Walgreens that much, so I don't have lines on it. But that's an interesting one. Very, very interesting. Okay. Microsoft. Ooh, look at Microsoft trying to get to all-time highs. Yeah. Tesla can't hold on. All right. I think this is pretty straightforward at this point. Let me quickly see if there's any other news. And then I'm still watching HIMS, but honestly, you know what stopped me from re-entering HIMS yesterday? It's going to sound crazy, but this consolidation right here, followed by the same consolidation over here, followed by a lower, very brief consolidation here, breakdown, back into the channel, breakdown again. That is not what I want calls on. So I don't like consolidating trends. So sometimes I'll open a trade and I'll close it within a few minutes if it's going to start consolidating. Ooh, Nvidia's recovering. See? That's what I'm talking about. We were just talking about this on Nvidia. That when you have a wedge like this, it could go either way. It could go up or down. I don't like trading 50-50. It's one of the reasons I don't like trading earnings calls or earnings reports. Because if you trade earnings reports and you have, you know, a 50-50 catalyst, it ain't good. I like better than 50-50 odds. Even though I'm a licensed financial advisor, real estate broker, and becoming a stockbroker, this video is neither personalized financial advice nor real estate advice for you. It is not tax, legal, or otherwise personalized advice tailored to you. This video provides generalized perspective, information, and commentary. Any third-party content I show should not be deemed endorsed by me. This video is not and shall never be deemed reasonably sufficient information for the purpose of evaluating a security or investment decision. Any links or promoted products are either paid affiliations or products or services which we may benefit from. I personally operate and actively manage the ETF and hold long positions in various securities, potentially including those mentioned in this video. However, I have no relationship to any issuers other than HouseHack, nor am I presently acting as a market maker. Trade Desk down 2% today on like nothing. Very interesting. First Solar's up though. Huh. Oh well. All right, folks. Thanks so much for being here. I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye and good luck.